Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. Yeah, that ending of episode 2 was absolutely, what just happened? And what does this mean for Hershel's story? Well, let's actually break down all of that. So before going further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Walking Dead content like this. I did do my review earlier of the whole episode, so if you do want to check that out, definitely go and do so. I also did a video breaking down the episode 3 trailer, so all that's out there. I'll do other videos and whatnot tomorrow talking about everything else from episode 2 and also, I guess, potential storylines going into the rest of the season here, because the ending here of episode 2 made things very, very interesting for Hershel, Maggie, and Dama. So yeah. What we learned at the very end of episode 1, and I know that in my episode 1 breakdown video, I didn't catch any of this. Like, honestly, all this stuff, I thought that it was related to Hershel, like Maggie's father. I wasn't even thinking about that. So, yeah, after that, obviously, I was like, oh, wait, never mind. There was actually a lot more here. Like, I can't believe I didn't notice that at all. But what's revealed here is that Hershel was the one that gave the signal here to, I guess, Dama and the Croat that New Babylon were on their way. And so, looking back at the episode now, a lot of things make sense, right? As to why Hershel felt so bad the whole time. You know, there was a lot of things he was going through. It's because he warned them and was like, yeah, you know what? They're on their way here. Yeah, you all have to be prepared, right? And so that's why he was like, I don't know why I did this, because it just seemed like, you know, they were all going to die there on that boat. So obviously he was feeling a lot of different things, but Hershel doing that, like, why would Hershel do that? Well, that's where things get very interesting with the whole dynamic, you know, between Hershel and Dama and what exactly happened in season 1. And so the trailer for episode 3 showed us that I think we are going to be getting some flashback scenes to, you know, a lot of that. So I think we're going to learn a lot of information there in terms of, you know, what she told him and all of that. And I do believe at this point now that Dama specifically has like a power over a lot of people. If you're looking at the Croat, I mean, she really does sort of control everything he does, right? And I'm just thinking that that's sort of how she became who she is. And there's a scene actually in episode 2 where we do see the historian. His name is Benjamin, and he mentioned something. He was like, wait, like, have we met before? And she was just kind of like, well, like, no, obviously not. And I think it's because she probably was somebody before the apocalypse started. And remember, he's a historian, right? So I really wonder what her backstory is going to be. And I think that scene there confirms that we're going to be learning a lot more of her backstory here this season. So I think that maybe she was some type of leader or something like that. Like, obviously, like, she was known beforehand. Like, if the historian kind of recognizes her, I believe that, you know, there's something there. And so I think that, honestly, her story is going to get really fascinating here. And her vision for New York City and, like, all of that here, I really do wonder if, like, Hershel is, like, just listening to her in that way, where he believes her in that way, where it's like, oh, I actually really do believe that you can make things a lot better. And I'm like, maybe there's a lot more to it than that, but it does seem like there is something there where she does have this like power over, you know, a lot of people. And so I think that probably happened to Hershel here, and maybe is why Hershel made that signal there, because he was like, I don't want anything to happen to Dama, right? Which would be crazy. But I do remember a lot of early reviews said that there's twists throughout the season that you're really not expecting. So I think that this could be what it is, because, I mean, it would be shocking, honestly. I was wondering what the whole thing would be this season. Like, I knew that Hershel would have a darker storyline this season. They talked about that for a while now, right? Although I will say recently, they haven't talked about that too much, but I remember them saying that at some point. And so I think that that's probably where things are going here, is that Hershel ends up joining Dama and everyone because of, I mean, I don't know what the reason's going to be. That's the thing. That's going to be the reveal in episode 3, most likely, is what she said to him. And maybe it's just like he really believes that she can make the world a better place, sort of thing. And so, and honestly, it might be one of those things where, I mean, it could be really interesting, because I will say, because Maggie and Hershel just haven't been in the best place for a while, right? And I do wonder if maybe there was a more, you know, I guess, mother and son dynamic between Dama and Hershel, that maybe that's why he's a little bit protective over her, right? And so that's why he made the signal. And I think that's where you sort of create this whole thing of like Maggie versus Dama. And I think that's where Hershel could go down a darker storyline. And honestly, that would make for a really, really incredible story this season, because Maggie's story just becomes that much more interesting. Like, it wouldn't be about Negan, which is kind of insane, right? Because that's sort of been the criticism for Maggie for a very long time now, is that her story has been about Negan and not about her and her family. And now I think because of that, she kind of lost Hershel, right? Like Hershel was always just like, he even mentioned that in the very last episode. Like, that's all you ever think about is just, him and what happened. And you're not really like there for me kind of thing, right? Like he's feeling very upset about the whole thing. And so I could see that maybe that's why he's protective over Dama, is because there's more of a mother-son dynamic there between the characters. I think that would be, it makes a lot of sense to me as to why Hershel is trying to protect everyone there in New York City. Like, why else would you do something like that, right? Like, he's not doing that for the Croat. Like, you could make the argument that there is something there maybe with Negan. I think that maybe that is possible. Like, maybe he's the one that wants to, get revenge. But I don't think so. Like, you're not really seeing that right now. And the trailer for episode 3 did show some Dama and Hershel flashbacks. So I think that this is likely going to be what the story is here. And I think for Maggie, like, the fact that she completely, I don't want to say she ignored Hershel forever, but like, she hasn't been who, she could be. She hasn't been herself. And it's because of what happened to Glenn, right? Like, I think that and just the drama of all of that there, it kind of pushed Hershel away. And so now you get into a situation like this where someone else is acting a little bit more like his mother. And so he feels that connection there, something that maybe he lost a long time ago. And so I think that honestly for Maggie is going to be like, if that's where the story is going anyways, it's going to be a really interesting story for Maggie. And it would make sense as to why a lot of the early reviewers were saying that it's actually kind of interesting, because out of Maggie and Negan, Maggie's story is way more interesting. And I'm curious as to how Negan is going to fit in with all of that too. Because remember, the early reviews only reviewed the first 6 episodes of 8. It wasn't the whole season. So obviously what they're seeing there, the characters are apart and they're dealing with all of this stuff. But obviously, I think in those last 2 episodes, there's pretty big moments that are going to happen, I'm sure. And that's why, they didn't allow early reviewers to actually review the whole season, because I think that they don't want those spoilers out there, right? So it'll be really cool to see how their stories, combine towards the end and how it's going to build up to a season 3. And oh man, I think that Maggie's story this season, I think this is what the character needed, honestly. Like, there's been so many complaints about her story for a long time that it's just been a revenge story, since Glenn's death. And I do understand a part of that. Like, I do get it, like, for her own personal story. Like, she's been involved with bigger elements of the story, with things happening at the Hilltop or the Commonwealth and, like, seeing other characters and stuff. But for her own personal story and what's going on for her, it's always been about, like, that aspect to it, right? Like, Negan has just been the story for her. And so now you're focusing more on the character. And I think it's just great for Maggie. Honestly, I think that this season is just going to be an incredible season for her. And I'm excited because I think the ending scene here of episode 2 did tease all of this here. So anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post our thoughts down below. Is this something that you do see happening this season? I think that is likely what that means, because if you look at the trailer for episode 3, like, you do see Hershel and Dama, and it looks like it's a flashback scene. And then you have to question, like, why is Hershel, giving a signal to everyone in New York City? Like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense unless you were trying to protect them from New Babylon. And then you just got to question, why are you doing that, right? So I think things are going to get really, really interesting here, and I'm excited to see where the story is going to go. So definitely post all your thoughts down below. I really don't think I'm going to be able to get to my Last of Us review later, because I still have to watch episode 4, and I've really fallen behind with it. And really it's because, personally, I'm moving, actually. So I will be, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening right now, and honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, of course, Dead City has to be airing right now, and The Last of Us right when I'm in the process of moving. So things will be a little bit easier next month, but right now it's a lot of just like packing everything up, right? So it's just a lot of that right now. So that's why I've been pretty busy. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people understand what it's like, right? So it's I'm just sort of in that process right now. So if I can take a day off right now to like focus on a lot of that early right now, it does help out quite a bit. So that's why I've been mostly like, more interested in watching The Walking Dead right now. I mean, just because I do like the show a lot and I'm really interested in the story. But as much as that does make it easier, it's one of those things where I think for for The Last of Us, it's hard to focus on that right now. But I would say for Dead City, I'm very excited for the story here. I really cannot wait for episode 3. And it's honestly actually cool to be, a big fan of the season right now and actually be like genuinely so excited for the story, because it hasn't been like that for a bit. The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon was like that a little bit, but I think after episode 1, you know, with what happened to the show, it was just like, well, I was excited for every episode, but I think just talking about it with everybody, like, yeah, the excitement just wasn't there. And it's one of those things that, you know, with the Walking Dead Sundays, like, it's just, they're very amazing. Honestly, Walking Dead Sundays are just absolutely incredible. Like, everyone watching the episode on Sundays, like, it's something that is just, obviously, that's sort of what we're used to with The Walking Dead. So, yeah, really awesome. The Walking Dead Dead City is here, and I'm excited to see, I guess, where things are going to go here for episode 3, but I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.